Hello, my name is Esther Lwanga. I'm currently the Resource Mobilization Lead for the International Programs at the Population Council, Inc., the global leader in health research. As part of this leadership experience, I'm going to give an overview of my leadership project and my key takeaways from this experience. My leadership project is entitled Unlocking the Power of Evidence: How Health Researchers Can Communicate for Impact. Through much of my career, I've worked with global research institutions whose core missions have focused on addressing evidence and data gaps to increase program impact on individuals and communities. My passion and interest has always been in efforts to better and much faster and more effectively bridge that no-do gap between evidence and programming. While there are several factors that can influence this, such as political and social factors, evidence and quality relevance, knowledge and awareness of evidence and how to use it, as well as organizational culture, for my research project, I have focused on the generator of the evidence, the researcher, and a component of their contributions to the research uptake cycle, how they communicate their work. Recognizing that as individuals who sit at the table with key decision makers, researchers are peddlers of information, and they are commonly best placed to inform, influence, and guide evidence uptake. Why is this important? The external environment that we're working in is rapidly changing. Historically, international research organizations have applied top-down centralized approaches to the coordination and management of corporate communications, and this has commonly resulted in limited capabilities in countries to actively communicate. There's limited funding to support complementary roles such as communication specialists, which emphasizes an increased need for multi-skilled staff. In this interconnected, disruptive world of information overload, it's becoming more difficult to discern between what is not just credible, but also what is relevant. Also, there is increasing attention and appreciation of gender transformative communications, and it's important to increasingly incorporate these into communication strategies to expand our reach and impact. And then finally, donors want to see impact. Researchers need to be able to clearly articulate the so what of their work in order to communicate its value to not only their peers, but also the broader public. So my leadership project used a process analysis approach, taking the example of the Council's work in Kenya. This approach consisted of 5 key aspects: reflection on the context in terms of capabilities and types of communications, review of successful internal and external communication outputs, an external scan of what institutions are doing successfully, including the private sector, and then development of guidance and tools that researchers can use to direct communications better, as well as an action plan to support the implementation and use of these tools. Much of this remains a work in progress. For purposes of today's presentation, I'm going to focus on reflection, review, and the external scan. In terms of reflection, it's clear that while there's an understanding of the ecosystem within which research uptake takes place, there's a challenge in terms of how to navigate the system effectively. There's limited access to resources to support the development of communication outputs. There's limited bandwidth to focus on areas outside of research, such as effective communications. There's a constant pressure to focus on publish or perish of peer-reviewed literature in academia. And then finally, there's a question of mandate. Who is responsible for this? External to researchers, there's the question of the organizational culture, technical expertise to inform the development of outputs, as well as competing institutional priorities. From a review of the external scan, there are considerations in terms of the private sector and how we can adapt techniques such as customer segmentation, product differentiation, and branding, how training can be used to improve messaging, what type of templates may be useful to researchers, which can be easily adapted to content, the importance of gender transformation as playing a critical role, and need to develop clear, concise, intentional communication strategies, and to ensure that these are monitored and adapted as we learn. I finally want to speak to my experience with the leadership journey. This journey has literally pushed, tugged, and pulled me out of the box within which I now know I had settled in. It has helped me define and refine who I am, to develop individual resilience in preparation for life storms, to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and encouraged me to analyze true relationship building. Through very practical sessions, it has enabled me to adapt leadership strategies, which I'm applying every day. And finally, through this journey, I have grown both professionally and personally. It has been an intensive, rewarding journey, and I look forward to my next step. Thank you.